Let me tell you why you're here.
I've seen things.
Oh my god.
Whoa, yeah! You don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it.
Guaranteed to jack you up.
Yo, what is going on, my dudes? It's your host, LamarStaysWeird, coming to you once again with another podcast. Now, I know it's been a minute. Now, I know it's been about 2 weeks or so, but that's because I have been busy with some other shit going on. I got sick, which really sucked. I mean, a lot of other personal stuff in my life going on, but I also recently had a service for an uncle that passed away a while back. It took us a while to get to it because we kind of thought some things were a little fishy with how everything went down. So we were just doing a lot of research and just making sure there wasn't like any foul play or anything. So we had to do our research, take our time. That happened, and I did a recording for that for the service and edited that. So I had a lot going on. So this is why I look kind of like shit right now. I got my bedhead and stuff. You guys are catching me pretty early recording this. I was like, I need to get this done. I have to. So I haven't even brushed my ass or washed my teeth yet. I'm just here, and yeah, this is all me right now. I just put on a shirt. Try to fix my hair like a little bit, but it's whatever, but it doesn't really matter. I'm here talking about the movie. Podcast is back. I'm gonna try to go back to being a little consistent. I'm sorry that I'm not, but yeah, be like that. We get life that gets in the way. But on speaking of that, I just hope you guys are doing well. Much love and good vibes to each and every one of you and your family. I hope all is well. I hope you're okay. You're taking care of yourself. You're taking care of the people that need to take care of you, and also that they're taking care of themselves as well. It doesn't all need to fall on you, okay? You got your own life to live, and just make sure you're happy at the end of the day, because nobody could do it without you, man. Everybody's gonna remember you. You got people that will remember you, that will miss you, that will love you. So make memories, have a good time, try to take the best out of life, because life can be fucking terrible sometimes, and you just got to find the pleasures in life, because there's always going to be the bad, and that's what this movie is about. And yes, we're talking about 1987's Clive Barker's Hellraiser. Now, I know I'm jumping into it a little bit. It's because I want to get to it. I've missed you guys, man, and I hope you guys have missed my voice as well. I hope it's been cool. But yeah, this came out on September 18th in 1987. So if you have that as a birthday, you're fucking awesome. Appreciate that. You're going to love that. This is a cool movie. I'm not going to lie. When I first watched this movie, I had no idea what I was in for. I just grew up. Everybody knew Pinhead. Everybody knew what Pinhead looked like and like sounded like. Like you had an idea. That was it. I never knew shit about him, to be completely honest. I just knew he had a really interesting look, and that's about it. And once I finally got to watch the movie, which I watched it like a year or two ago for the first time ever, I was like, yo, I need to watch this movie. And I will say this, if you've never seen the movie before, or you haven't seen it in a very long time and you barely remember it, go rewatch it before you actually start to listen to me talk about this. Because, dude, it was nothing like how I expected it to be, because in the realm of, you know, like Nightmare on Elm Street, fucking Friday the 13th, Sleepaway Camp, I'm trying to think of more movies off the top of my head, but you got like, you know, sci-fi's like Alien, The Thing. This is so different from any of that. It wasn't boots to ground slashers or anything. This was just like, it was a weird thing. And like, I can't stress this enough. Please go watch it before you actually hear me continue to talk about it. But the first time watching this, it really blew me away, because I had no idea what I was in for. There's not many that take me by surprise. I'm not trying to say like, oh, I'm a film guy, you know, I know exactly what's gonna happen next. I know the story beats. You don't know them. It's cool. I'm gonna whisper them to you while the movie's going. No, I just have a brain, and I can notice the pattern that a lot of movies just do, which anybody from the general audience can do. It's just how stories go. There's structure. So yeah, you're gonna know the beats, but it's the ride getting there that makes it so much fun and enjoyable. And this one, it was good. Rewatching it again for probably the second or third time, I was like, okay, the movie's not as good as my very first watch, but it's still pretty damn decent. And it is a product of its time. It was a low budget movie that they tried, and they went over budget to try to get things to work out. So yeah, special effects here and there aren't going to look great, like just a few, but overall, it looks so fucking good, dude. It has some of the like coolest body horror I've definitely like seen in a while. And I've been watching a lot of body horror lately, man. I've been on a binge. When I was sick, all I was doing, I was just in the mood. I had such a craving for like 80s horror movies. Like just I watched I think it was The Brain, I watched Reanimator, I watched Night of the Demons, Slumber Party Massacre. Fuck. Wow. What else? I was thinking of some other ones. Like I was just going down, just clicking shit. From Beyond or The Beyond, From Beyond. I think it's From Beyond, and like that as well. It's just like, dude, there was such a good time back then, man. I really wish I was a part of that, to just be in that realm of all this. Like, I don't know. It's just there's good shit there. If you haven't seen any of those movies I've named, please watch them. They're actually enjoyable. Like, and follow me on Letterboxd. If you guys don't, I'll have something up here somewhere for you guys to click, or it's in the description down below if you guys are listening on Spotify or anything like that. That way you can keep up with movies I've watched. And speaking of body horror, I did watch The Substance. Holy shit. That might be my next podcast. Maybe. I can't promise it, but maybe. Because, man, honestly, I would have done it already if I didn't promise this was going to be the one right after The Black Phone. So maybe. I don't know. I'm going to try to get to it soon. I got to watch it again. It was so good. Body horror to the fucking max, dude. Fucking loved it. It was great. It was so sick, and I gotta watch it again. There has not been a movie where it's like, yo, I need to start taking notes. Like, I whip out my phone. When I'm watching a movie, I'm locked in. I'm not talking to you. I'm not entering my phone. I'm not being on my phone. I'm just focused on the movie. I want it completely quiet when I watch a movie. That's just me. That's probably not fun for everyone. Can I talk during some movies? Yes. Do I prefer not to? Yes, because I'm trying to watch and enjoy a movie. I love movies, okay? That's exactly what I want to do. And I was locked in, but dude, I was watching it by myself, and I'm like, yo, I have to take notes. There's just so much going on here. There's so many layers going on here, and I took notes. I sent them to my girlfriend, because when we get sick in our household, we kind of stay away from each other. So we don't get other people in the house sick. So we kind of quarantine. So we kind of learn to be more hygienic. So that way, not everybody gets sick. Everybody has work and their own shit to do and deal with. So we try to keep the disgusting to ourselves. And unfortunately, it didn't happen that way. Once everybody in my fucking household got better, I got sick. So I had like a week off of work, and I just started just binging movies I've never seen or that I just never heard of. And I'm like, fuck, that sounds interesting, and started watching it. That's exactly what I was doing. And yeah, I got around to that, and I took a screenshot. I sent her my notes. I'm like, dude, what do you think of this? Because holy shit, I don't remember how far I was into the movie, but I'm like, I got a list of things I already really, really, really want to talk about when it comes to that movie. And she liked all my notes and even contributed a little bit there. So I can't wait for that. That's going to be awesome. I'm going to be excited to talk about that one. But sorry for going off tangent. Back to Clive Barker's Hellraiser. So yes, it's in the name, Clive Barker's Hellraiser, which he wrote and directed, and it's based on a novel, yada, yada, yada. A lot of people know all these things already, and I try not to regurgitate the same information that everyone spells out when talking about these movies, because I'm not really talking about movies that haven't been discussed before. It's just I want to talk about them in my own way and go from there. Because that's the point of my podcast. It's my voice, my opinion, my point of view from my pea brain, and just putting it out on the airwaves for you guys out there to enjoy, maybe listen to, and yeah, so on and so forth. But yeah, that's what we're talking about today. So it is that. So it's also known as Hellraiser, but it's also Clive Barker's Hellraiser. However you want to put it, this is his baby. He did great. I loved it. There's a lot of cool things about it. Like I said, upon more rewatches, I'm like, and it's one of those movies. It really benefits for your first watch. It's so good on your very first watch. And for some people, it probably still holds that magic. For me, it kind of just fell off a little bit, but it happens. And yeah, it's still worth a watch. It's a movie everybody should watch at least once. And obviously, I was a big fan of it when it came out because one of the, the shirts that I get, like I was talking about earlier, I got this shirt from Creeporama, and I'm gonna stand up so you guys can see it a bit more. This is a rare Cenobites shirt. Like, check that out. You got Frank in the middle being torn apart. You got the puzzle box right here. You got the lead Cenobite Pinhead right here. You got Chatterer on this side. I can't tell my left from my right. And I can't remember her name, but she was attractive. She was cool. She was scary. But yeah, whenever I do have shirts that match the movies, I like to do that because obviously I'm going to be talking about movies I really like. And obviously, if I really, really like the movie, I'm going to have a shirt of it. So that's kind of usually what I got going on. Not sponsored by any of these companies or anything. It would be sick if I was, but I'm not. I'm nobody, and I just enjoy their shit. And they do rare drops. They just offer them for the weekend, and that's it. You'll never see them again. Sometimes they will do a reprint or whatever, or maybe they had leftovers and they'll just go through those again. But no, a lot of times, like, that's it. That's it. Once it's for sale, that's it. You'll never see it again. And you'll see people like resell them or anything like that. I don't do that. Would I if I already have too many fucking shirts? But yeah, it would probably be the same way. Maybe eventually I would try to part ways with some. But I kind of like everything I have right now. And until more movies come out that I have to buy shirts for, I'm keeping them. But if you really want some cool merch, check the links down below. I'm going to tag all the companies that I normally go to. But the very first one will be Creeporama, who did the Hellraiser shirt. And the reason we are talking about Hellraiser was because my girlfriend did dress up as Hellraiser for Halloween. And I know this is well after Halloween. This is almost 3 weeks after Halloween. But it was great. She had a really cool idea. It looked good. Obviously, in the club, it kind of just started to wear off a little bit. The little pins. I'm going to have a picture up here somewhere for you guys to look at. She did phenomenal. She's big into makeup. And she did a really good job on the look and everything. People loved it. People obviously recognized Pinhead. She was the only Pinhead there. And I was the only, obviously the only grabber because not too many people are going to do it. And I did get recognized for my character. I think only like once or twice. But it's cool. I'm glad some people out there did notice who I was. So that was great. But that was actually really fun. Unfortunately, it took us over an hour, actually almost 2 hours to get into the club. Jesus, dude. But once we got in, it was awesome. And we were only there for an hour and it was already a blast. So next time, we're getting there early. We're going to wait in line for the club. It was like my own Night of the Roxbury deal. We went there. We were already pretty buzzed, like me and my friends, having a great time. But then the buzz started to wear off once we got around other people that were just like, wow. And then just waiting in line for a couple hours. But yeah, like we got the pictures of that. My costume, I didn't have too much of her, but yeah, it was really fun. And I hope you guys had a fantastic Halloween. Sorry, this is super late. I know I say it all the time, but hey, if you're still here, I appreciate it. Thank you so much for constantly tuning in. But yeah, we'll get back to the movie. Now, the movie is an easy burn. Now, it ranges because there's different cuts of this movie. I can't remember which one I've seen, but it goes anywhere from an hour and 26 to an hour and 34 minutes. So still a really easy burn. And I know when I say Hellraiser, you guys might also think of the remake or reboot, whichever you want to call it. Yeah, that actually did happen back in 2022, I think it was. It was a Hulu exclusive. That movie was actually not that bad. I think I just had some issues with story or characters where I was like, meh, didn't really like them. But the Cenobite that we had, they casted somebody else for the Cenobite, and it was a female, and I loved her. I thought she was great. I'm sure there's plenty of people out there that do find Pinhead attractive. I found this Pinhead pretty attractive. Just captured so much aura, and I loved it. So the world of Hellraiser in that movie was really good. I think I just had like issues with characters in the movie itself. That's about it. But I think everything else looked pretty damn sick. Now, the budget for the original Hellraiser movie, it was only $1.2 million. Now, the problem is they did start to run out of money, so I think they were really cutting it close. And you could start to see that towards the end, and a lot of people know the ending, and I'm not going to go into it yet, but you do get some interesting choices made creatively, and I think it's still cool. But and literally this happened earlier when I was rewatching it for the podcast. My roommate came in and he's never seen the movie, so he just started watching like the last 20 minutes of it. And whenever that part happened, which you guys should know, when the box is grabbed out of the fire and what happens next, he was just like, what the fuck was that? Like where'd that come from? He thought it was gnarly and cool. It's like, yeah, but it's just like so out of left field. But it was still good. And I'm like, okay, it still has that same effect on people. That's actually pretty awesome. But it was a $1.2 million budget that they had a really hard time with, like, making it work. But they did. They made it work, and they made their money back and then some. So they made back worldwide $14 million and spawned a lot of movies. There's so many movies and a reboot or remake, whatever. I don't think I would ever watch all of them. Supposedly they get really bad. And I'm just like, I don't really want to go down that route, you know? But on IMDb, this movie is sitting at a 6.9, and the average is 3.5 stars on Letterboxd. So it's honestly not bad. It's a pretty decent movie. You just got to watch it at least once, because it's not your typical horror movie. And I'll get more into the story in a second, honestly, because then you'll probably understand it. And I hope I gave time for the people that haven't seen it, so that way there's no spoilers or anything. But it is an old movie, but that doesn't mean everybody's seen it. But of course, I got to get into some of the reviews. Now, a lot of the good reviews were just like a bunch of memes and stuff like that. So I just kind of found a 1-star review that I thought was pretty interesting. So I'm going to read that to you right now. They said, "Worst porno ever. Some great special effects, but the story and acting are hollow. It genuinely feels like some twisted BDSM fan fiction you'd find in the darkest corners of the internet. I'm not against crudeness or vulgarity, but when it's done solely to titillate and shock, it feels masturbatory. Not my cup of tea." With 69 likes. Come on. That's just pretty interesting. Now, I completely understand what they mean. This is the 80s. Like I said, some of the stuff's a little dated. I think everything is done well. I think if you look at it through that lens, and granted, yes, were there some amazing movies in the 80s with great acting and everything else? Yeah, totally. People could fucking pull it off. And even before that, it can be pulled off. Yeah, some people are just that gifted, and it just shows through that time. This is one of those. Are there some questionable, like, line delivery choices? Or yeah, I would say that's kind of what it is. It's just kind of like meh. I think that's really what they mean. And I get that. There are some line deliveries that are like, okay, like, that's what the hell does that mean? Or, you know, it's like that. And that's fine. You're going to come across that every now and then. And that's just how it is, you know, especially horror movies. Horror movies are made to be on a low budget, and a lot of times you're getting a bunch of unknowns, especially back in this time before Scream actually happened. I believe it was Scream that just created the blueprint of, oh, get a star-studded cast and start putting him in there. Actually put like money into the movie, and maybe we'll get some money in return. And so that's where you started to get a lot of, you know, big ensemble casts or big names in horror movies to kind of like push it. And that is very, very obvious in the early 2000s. So yeah, a lot of people got to get their start somewhere. They're trying to get their foot in the door. You know, they're trying to break into the industry. You got to do what you got to do. You got to pay your dues. And sometimes it requires being in a shitty horror movie, or sometimes you're lucky and it's an incredible horror movie that takes off and has a huge following. Now, does it have crudeness and vulgarity? I mean, I wouldn't say too much. I mean, I feel like this person was probably just clutching their pearls the whole time. I think the movie's a little tame, you know. I don't think there's too much going on. Do you have some spicy, sex scenes? Yeah, and I don't know, I feel like the language isn't too bad here, but I think it's a lot of the insinuation of what's going on, the little reading in between the lines here and there where it's kind of like, I don't like how this is. And it's like, I get that, understandable, but some things are very much full frontal, in your face, straight to the point. And that's how it works. Not every movie is going to be for everyone. It's just one of those things, and they didn't really enjoy it. They gave it a 1 star. I think I gave it about 3.5, 4 stars first time I watched it. I still think it's pretty good, and I don't think it's gratuitous at all when it comes to the nudity or anything, which there isn't even too much. I believe it's only from like the same person, but that's because we're following this, well, love triangle pretty much is what we're going into. But before we get into the story, and I'm assuming you know what this is by now, so this is going to be the spoilers from here on out. But there was one review I thought was really funny that somebody said Armie Hammer would have called the Cenobites. And I believe that. And if you're not familiar with Armie Hammer or why that's actually really funny, it's because Armie Hammer was exposed for pretty much being into some kinky shit. And we don't kink shame here. I'm not going to kink shame anybody. You're into what you're into. I don't care as long as you're not hurting anybody. Unless there's consent. Unless they're okay with it, then I guess. But as long as safety words are used, you're okay. Everyone's still alive and well after the encounter. Then by all means, do what you're doing as long as everybody's consenting. And pretty much he just seemed very into the like heavy-handed into some creepy stuff. Even when it comes to like cannibalism, I believe there was some stuff that he said about, you know, wanting to eat people or something, and he'd be pretty rough when it came to like sexual intercourse and stuff. I'm not trying to say anything verbatim. These are all alleged, saying that so nobody fucking sues me or says whatever. But he was into some creepy shit, and he kind of got canceled for it, and you don't really see him around too much. So I believe there was some truth to it. And from what I remember, because I know it's been a while, I think he would totally summon the Cenobites, because that's what they're for. And a lot of people don't know what the Cenobites are about. My roommate was saying that earlier. He never knew the story of Pinhead or what the hell the story was even about when it came to Hellraiser. So I filled him in a little bit on it. He didn't really care for spoilers because he was already watching the end of the movie. So as Pinhead would say, which he's not referred to as Pinhead in this movie, he's just the lead Cenobite. He's later changed to Pinhead because that's what the fandom just started to call him. So that's how he earned his name, was through the horror fandom itself. But in this movie, whenever the Cenobites actually show up and talk to our lead, Kirsty, that's where they explain themselves like, oh yeah, we're angels to some, demons to others. They give pleasure or pain, and some people, you know, kind of blur the lines between the two. That's fine. Some people are into that. Me personally, I'm not into that. I do not want to be slapped during sexy time, because if I am, I'm going to want to throw a punch, because that's activating my fight or flight right there, yo. And that's not going to be a good time for anybody. So the hitting and all that type of stuff, not for me. But like I said, no kink shaming here. All is love. You guys do what you want to do. Don't care. But that's it. They're just interdimensional beings that are summoned by this mystical puzzle box that is just in rotation around the world. No matter what, somebody's going to find it. Somebody's going to open it. Somebody's going to be exposed to this or that. And it's just going to keep going. It's just one of those things. And one of our characters, who's the villain in the movie, Frank, who is the uncle to Kirsty, he was a slave to the flesh. That's the best way to put it. That's what he was into. He was just all about humping, smoking, and that's pretty much it. Just humping and smoking. And he eventually came across the puzzle box because he was getting bored with the fruits of life and the fruits of women and probably men. I would want to say if this guy was really bored with everything sexual that could possibly be and he was looking for like a bigger high, I would imagine he's done some stuff, and that's fine. Hey, more power to him. He tried everything. He's like, bro, you guys cannot handle me, and he met his match when he finally came across the Cenobites, and he couldn't really handle it. They turned around, took his ass apart, and he's missing. And he was like an AWOL brother, pretty much just like that crackhead brother, and he was just always on the run or probably in trouble or something. And we have
Larry,
who is the dad of Kirsty, and of course, brother to Frank. And then there's Julia. Julia, I believe, is our main antagonist in this. She does a lot. And another moniker for this movie was saying pretty much what a woman would do for a good fuck. And that is true. Homegirl was whipped, yo. She came across Frank one night because he just stumbled up to their house, all just soaking wet and just having that Spanish charm. I can't remember what the actor is exactly, but and this is also disrespect. Hold on, I'm gonna go on a tangent. This is irritating. I'm gonna go on a tangent right here. What they did, and I believe he did not find out until the movie came out, he was voiced over by an American, and the voiceover I can contribute is kind of a little throw you off a bit here and there, because that man does not sound like that. That man looks like he's from a novella. I mean, he's a hunk of a man. Like, he looks good. And I think in the 80s, he was 100% slaying poon left and right. And that's what this guy is. And he doesn't sound like that. And that's so irritating. I wish we would get another one, because I think he did had an accent and they were just like, no, we don't want that. Him and
Larry,
nothing alike, dude. Not even close. And they're supposed to be brothers. Now, I could say that because I'm half white and Mexican, and my cousin is Chileno and Mexican. So he's probably the closest thing I have to a brother. So when we get around, we look so different, dude. He is definitely darker than I am. His facial hair is like different pattern, and I would say like type of texture. And it's his hair. Yeah, very, very different hair. Very different people. And that's how they look here. It looked like mom stepped out of the marriage 100%, because they knew at all. So, and it's kind of messed up. The Spanish one is like the rough brother, the one who's always getting into trouble and, with the cops and always into bad shit and drugs and stuff like that, which, come to think of it, that's actually might be a true stereotype, because my brother's full Mexican and he's the one that has a baby mama and in jail, in and out of jail. Yeah, no, actually, they might have nailed that perfectly. Yeah. Okay, I'm not going to be too mad about it, but they still voiced over him, and that's pretty fucked up. Shouldn't have done that, okay? He's an actor. Let him be. Let him act. Okay, while trying to go through the cast, because that was going to be the next section I was going to talk about. So the actor who played Frank is Sean Chapman. Now, with a last name like Chapman, and he was born in the UK, he is, I guess, technically you could say a white dude. But if anybody sees this movie, and I tried to research it just now, I can't prove I'm wrong. I'll say that. I cannot prove that I'm wrong. But this man looks like he has some sort of Spanish descent. It could be like actual Spain Spanish, or it could be Italian, or I don't know, whether it be like Argentinian or Brazilian. Like there could be something. He has some sort of Latin features. It's not just me, okay? I'm not the only one who thinks this. I can't find anything that says otherwise, but it's anything I find, it does say like, oh, he's not Spanish, but that boy looks Spanish. Don't know who the dad is. Dad was out of the picture. The mom, she raised him, but he was raised in the UK. But he has 2 daughters, and they have some kind of Spanish-sounding names. So I'm like, I don't know, man. I think that guy's kind of Spanish. I think he has some Spanish heritage in him. So I'm just going to go with what I say. That's what he looks like. And I don't think I'm wrong in saying he looks like he would be in a novella or on the cover of a like Spanish like spicy book for like moms in like their 50s. But then we also have our lead, Kirsty, who is played by Ashley Lawrence. Now, she's a babe. I'm just gonna say she's a total babe. I never really seen her in anything but this. I think this is what she's mainly known for. But dude, yeah, she's cute, and that's just never what I really expected from this movie. Like, no offense to like anyone or anything, I just really didn't. I think, I don't know, she just has like a look to her. She's really cute. I'll give her that. Ashley Lawrence, you look really cute. Then we have Claire Higgins, who plays Julia. Like I said, our main antagonist, because this love triangle that she has going on with
Larry
as well, who is the dad, who is played by Andrew Robinson. So Andrew Robinson, he comes out, he's supposed to be like the squeaky clean brother. You know, he has a put together job. He's the one taking care of the family home now that they're moving, and so he's the more proper. And then Julia, she looks like she comes from money as well. So they're both like the fancy, like sit upright, proper stuff. But he comes off as a bit of a cuck in this movie. I'm not gonna lie. There's just some key moments that's like a little questionable. Like, people outright flirt with Julia in front of him, and his whole thing, like, it was these movers that were moving stuff, and they're flirting with her like, oh, you got any beer? And just like looking her up and down, like blatantly checking this chick out in front of her husband. And he just says, well, I guess I'll go get the beers then. I guess I got nothing better to do. And goes off and go gets these guys beers that was just checking out and hitting on his wife in front of him. Like, dude, grow a spine, man. Like, unless that's what you're into. But the way he also says it seems like he's not really into it. And it's just like a little confusing, because like, why aren't you going to do anything about that? So a bit of a spineless guy, very vanilla, Wonder Bread type of guy. And hey, that's, you know, that's cool. Some people are into that. Some people like bread. I love bread. I like different types of bread. I like it toasted. I like conchas. I like Indian bread. You know, there's different types of bread. That's all there is. Okay. When Burger King had I forgot what type of burger it was, but they had like the black buns and stuff. I mean, it made your shit black, but I like black bread. I like all types of bread. That's all I would say. I don't discriminate. I'll probably try it at least once. And some people just like Wonder Bread. Perfectly fine. Perfectly okay. No butter, no toast, just plain bread. Suit yourself. I'm happy for you. But that's how he comes off in this whole thing. And she reminisces about Frank after they're going through the stuff that's there. And he was squatting in the house for a little while. And she finds, just some sexy pics of Frank and women he's been with, like different women he's been with. And she reminisces about the night where he just showed up in the middle of the night in the rain, and Larry was off somewhere doing his own thing, and they got down to it. It didn't really take that much convincing. And yeah, he started to do some other stuff. He was introducing her to, I guess, just like a bunch of things, and just treating her like the woman she's never really felt like. And by all means, that's fine. Some people don't discover things about themselves until really late. I think the sexual aspects of our lives is actually very important in how you really get to know somebody, because that's the nitty gritty right there. You're getting down and dirty. You're getting into some shit that people hold shame for, that they want to keep secretive. So to know somebody sexually is really knowing them. Like, I think we can all agree that, because not everybody's going to outright tell all their stuff. No, not even. Some people are very comfortable about it, and it's like, yo, that's cool, man. Yeah, whatever. But it's a bit 50-50 for everything. I don't mind talking about my shit. I don't really care. But I'm still not gonna say like everything. You know, I'm not gonna cross boundaries and stuff. And you also got to think of who you're talking to and what you're talking about. And a lot of times we spill these to like coworkers, to friends, or whatever. But sometimes it's okay to keep secrets to yourself. You know, just save that for like your partner or something like that. And on the cast, last but not least, we have Doug Jones, who just famously portrayed the lead Cenobite, Pinhead, who had the look, the voice, the posture, everything. Like, they really made him such a sophisticated being. You know, it's kind of hard to say villain. I think he does become more of a villain in the later movies, like horror villain or icon. In this one, he's not in the movie that much, and he's not really much of a villain. He's just part of this thing that brings pleasure or pain to people. Depends on if you're into it or not, and you seek it out. They don't go and find you. You seek it out. You open the box, you call them, and they're gonna do what they do. If you like it, you like it. You don't, I mean, you called them. Unfortunately, that's the price you pay. I don't necessarily see that as being bad. I think they're just kind of neutral, like chaos or something like that. I don't know the terms, but yeah, there's something like that. They're just, you fucked with it, you're gonna find out. But other than that, they're not gonna go out of their way and fuck with you. Now, do they clash with our protagonist? Yeah, of course, because our protagonist opens the box and they're just like, yo, all right, you're here. We're here. This is who we are. You kind of signed the paperwork, so we're here to do this. Like, you ready? And she's like, fuck this. No, I got something better. The guy that escaped you guys, and they're like, whoa, 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 whoa. Nobody escapes us. Okay, nobody. It doesn't happen. And then she's like, well, Frank escaped, left you guys, however you want to put it, and I'm sure you guys would want him back. And they're like, okay. Maybe he escaped and got away from us. Maybe, and trapped us in the box. Possibly. Point him out to us. We'll take him. Maybe we'll leave you alone. But nobody ran away from us. Nobody got away. And they're really prideful on that, because I'm not that far off on how he was kind of saying it, because they were both saying, him and the female Cenobite was like, nobody escapes us. And then they're like, yeah, maybe he did. So what? What do you know? That they did not want to admit to this shit whatsoever. I feel like there's like an HR problem or something. It would have turned into something. It would have turned into a big deal. OSHA would have got involved. It was something. And so they didn't want to report it to anybody. I don't know who's over them in the lore or anything like that. But yeah, so they wanted him back. They made a bit of a deal. But they did kind of turn villainous whenever they did eventually get Frank back. They're like, okay, you're next. Like, we're keeping you. So I think they just wanted to clean up the mess. It's like nobody knows anything, but then they get shoved back into the box. But that's like the gist of that. But now what happens, how we get into this whole thing, is Julia is reminiscing over everything, their little spicy affair, and she misses that. She misses Frank, and they have no idea where he is, because Frank, I would say, is technically dead right now. But while they're moving, Larry ends up cutting his hand, and so when he goes into the attic where all this happened, where he was taken, he bleeds onto the floor, the blood seeps into the cracks, and it starts to form like this heart, like this tissue, a very thin and faint little thing, and it just starts to like beat and pulsate. And so the more blood he's consuming, he's regaining, like he's manifesting all over again through blood, bone, veins, organs, all of that. The tissue is all coming together in an incredible sequence. You definitely see where they put the money when it comes to it. Once you see that scene, you're like, oh wow, they put money into this. This is where they fucking did it. They wrote big checks for this. And it is some of the best body horror I've seen. It's so good. A lot of it is played in reverse of how they were melting all this stuff. And once you know that, that's how they do a lot of the things, is playing, like especially back then, is playing these things in reverse. It's like, damn, you can't unsee it, but it doesn't make it any less cool. And so he starts to rejuvenate, and then one night Julia just stumbles in there again, and then she comes across Frank, who is like bones, just bones, veins, a little bit of like tissue and organs. He's not all put together. And so he's trying to convince her, hey, you got to help me. Like, whatever you did, like the blood or whatever you did, it was bringing me back. Like, bring more people to feed to me, to rejuvenate me, and we'll be together again. And he's only using her. That's all he's doing. Because this is not a one woman or one person kind of man. Not at all. He's playing the part, and, you know, that's fine. You know, you got to hustle to get what you want. I mean, he's coming back from another dimension or the underworld or whatever you want to call it. So yeah, he wants to get back into that, get back into the real world and enjoy life again, because I feel like it was a bit too much for him. He couldn't really handle it. So I feel like there's like a, it's like a iffy thing. I feel like he might have enjoyed it a little bit, but he wants to go back to the real world because there's no going back. So I think that's kind of where all this really started. And so now what Julia decides to do is to go out and start luring men who find her attractive and who are thinking they're about to get some. And then she just murders them in this attic and fuels or regenerates Frank more and more so they can rekindle the flame that they used to have. Now, do I know a whole bunch of categories when it comes to kinks and fetishes? Which, no, I have no idea. But from the ones I could see in this movie itself, we had infidelity, you know, I guess like a cheating thing. I'm not exactly sure if it's a fetish or a kink for Julia, but we had cucking. I think there's some strong evidence for cucking. Even when Larry is right there and these like movers are hitting on his daughter in front of him, checking her out, saying, oh, she got her mother's looks. And he just looks at her, her mother's dead. Because Julia's a stepmom. And it's just like, wow, okay, whatever. And then you got this other guy that's around that's just constantly checking her out and making eyes and faces at her and stuff. He just does not care. They're all drinking one night at a dinner and she's like, oh, if I have any more, I don't think I'll be able to stand. And the guy's just like, well, then you should just lie down. It's like, dude, what the fuck, dude? Who says that at a dinner? I don't even know if they're a thing. They might be boyfriend or girlfriend or something. I'm not entirely sure. I don't remember. But regardless, why would you say that at a dinner in front of the parents? What the hell is that? I don't know. And the dad just laughs it off like nothing. So I think homeboy is a cuck. And by no means am I really trying to kink shame here, but God, man, have a little bit of backbone, stand up for yourself or your family. But I know that's the point of being a cuck, is you just get looked down on, you know, everything gets taken from you and used in front of you and so on and so forth. And speaking of cucking, ever since I found out what cucking was, now I cannot see hotels the same way anymore. Why is there always a cuck chair in a hotel room? Is it that common? Like, seriously? And you'll know what I'm talking about. If you get a hotel room, let's say you get a 1-bedroom room, there's always a love seat or like a small sofa or whatever the fuck. I don't know what it's called, but it's a one seat, like fits like one person, or it's like a desk chair just in the corner facing the bed. Why? Like, it has to be that common. Or if not, every time I go to a hotel, a cuck was using it right before me and never put the chair back. One of the two. I don't know, but it's just like, yo, I can never unsee it now. And now I'm sure you guys won't either. So I hope on your next vacation, you see a cuck chair and you think of me. I don't mean in that way, but I mean, hey, if you do that too, all is love. I don't know, man. Whatever floats your boat. But besides that, we have knife play, we have bondage, hardcore bondage at that, because it's actual like chains and flesh, you know, like tearing people's skin apart. So it's some real shit. And then we got masochism, which if you don't know what that is, I had to look it up because I never really understood what it is. That's where you take pleasure in being humiliated or in pain. That's for yourself. That's how you would describe yourself if you're into that. And then there's sadism, which is pretty much you like giving humiliation and pain. So kind of like a dominatrix or something like that. Probably like the best way to paint that picture right there. You like the one to give pain and humiliation while masochist takes it. So those are the only like kinks I could really figure out. And I might have talked about this before in another podcast. I can't remember, but I found out not too long ago the differences between the kinks and fetishes. So kinks, if you guys don't know, for the uneducated out there, kinks is something That's not required to like get you there to the end, to the finish line. It's not required. It's nice. You know, it helps. Not bad. But a fetish is something you need to get to the finish line. Okay? Just like how, all right, so you got the finish line right there. What's something you need to run the race? One, well, actually, no. I don't want that to be discriminatory against anybody. I was going to say you need legs, but not true. Fuck, where was I going with this allegory? All right, here we go. I got a better one. So imagine you're in school taking a test, okay? You need something to write with. You need it. That is a fetish. You got a pencil right there. But you know what? A little part of you just likes how the ink looks on the paper. You're like, you know what? I kind of want an ink pen. That's all right. But you don't need it to finish the test. Would you like it? Yeah. It'll look nice. It'll feel nice, you know, circling around, filling in that bubble. It'll look real nice. But you don't need it. You need a pencil. That's what you need. Now you know. Teach anybody you want to know. There's an allegory for you right there. Fucking hell. Jesus Christ. But there is something you will always need to get to the finish line. And I talked about a little bit about this earlier, but consent goes a long way. Whenever Julia finally decides to start bringing dudes back to the house and just start clubbing them with a hammer, this one dude, because she was getting cold feet, she's never murdered anybody before, so she was having a bit of a hard time. And so she was being kind of like shy and like, oh, like I don't really know what to do. So she was kind of stiffening up a little bit, getting cold feet. And the dude, he was fine playing with it. That was a little coy. But then he gets mad. He's just like, you're not fucking changing your mind, are you? And like he just gets like a tone with her and a little strict. And I will say, at any point, you can say no. You can change your mind. Man, woman, whatever, it does not matter. Consent matters 100%. If you decide you're not into something anymore, fucking call it right there. And if that person doesn't respect that boundary, they're rapey, yo. That's really rapey, and they should probably be reported or like outed or something, because the next person might not be so lucky or strong enough to actually set that boundary. If somebody says no at any time, that's it. I explained this before. I know too many women, I know too many family members who have been through like sexual abuse or anything like that, and then myself as well. So no means no. That's it. Bottom line. There is no, but we should like sure, like there's no like convincing. Bro, once it's a no, that's it. No more. No further, nothing. Hang out, be friends, go your separate ways, whatever. No is no. You learned your lesson for today. But yeah, so she starts to resurrect him. And this is where it gets like interesting, because you don't realize until later when the Cenobites actually show up again, like, oh shit, this movie is actually supposed to have supernatural creatures in it besides this one person just being resurrected. It's all about this. And I don't know what the other films are about. And even the remake doesn't do this same story either. It's interesting. And I think that's why I enjoyed the first watch so much, because I had no idea we were going into a love triangle and resurrections and replacing the dad by like wearing his skin and trying to use his body, like fleshless body, as bait for the Cenobites to take. Like, oh, well, we have Frank. Now we'll go. It's wild. Like, I didn't see that coming. A lot of people wouldn't have seen that coming. And so I that's why I think it's definitely worth the watch. Because this chick was going out of her way to hump a skeleton, by all means. I mean, I can't say anything for like, I don't know. I would say I've been sexually active since I was like 17 or 16. So about 12 years, I want to say the first half of that, people have been doing nothing but humping a skeleton, because I was skinny as shit. And, you know, now I just have a little bit of a gut, and, you know, I got a little bit of badonkadonk now. That's it. You know, so I can't really shame them there. But then again, I'm not really one to shame anybody for like I don't know who they would sleep with. I got some questionable hear me outs. I'm not even gonna lie. I don't discriminate, yo. That's just me. I am a geek through and through, and I even made a list of ones I could remember. It's like, yeah, I would totally sleep with like these species or something like that. And if you have one out there, I want to know what's like a hear me out. Like, hey, I probably shouldn't want to sleep with this person or this species or something, but I want to. And hold on. Before I get into that, when I say species, I'm meaning more humanoid or alien type. Okay, nothing of like furry descendants or anything. I was like, hold on, let me specify that. I know I'm in the South, but I'm not gonna fuck a sheep or anything. Okay, I just want you guys to know that. All right, and horses terrify me. Wouldn't never go near that either. I just want to put that out there. But here's some hear me outs, and I will have pictures up here so you guys have an idea of what I'm talking about. So if you are listening to the podcast, first of all, if you know what these are just by me listing them, you're pretty cool. If not, you could just look up at the pictures right here. So I got a few from Star Wars that we're gonna name off the list. You got the Twi'leks, you got the Thelans, you got the Togruta, you got the Kaminoans. So like, I can climb a tree. I'm okay with that. I don't mind tall, and I don't mind different colors. I don't care if they're pink, blue, whatever the hell. Hey, or you got multicolors. You got camo going on. I'm okay with that. I mean, shit. I got different colors in my beard. I'm there. I got tan lines. I'm there. You know, I mean, I have hair mostly. I mean, I try to maintain, but yeah, I got that too. You know, just be clean. That's all I ask. You got Vulcans, you know, from Star Trek as well. And then you have Yela from Star Trek Beyond. I don't know what she was. She was black and white, and I think she had yellow eyes, if I remember correctly. She looked great. Don't know what she was, but I would. Yeah. You got Mantis from Guardians of the Galaxy. She's technically an insectoid. Would. Speaking of Guardians of the Galaxy, the Krylorians. Krylorians. I hope I'm saying that right. Like the pink chick that Peter Quill was banging in the first movie or second movie, one of the two. I don't know. It was a pink chick. Totally. I'm in. I love the color pink anyway. Okay, now I think we're going to get into a little bit more of the questionable ones. I think I might get some judgment here. Just saying. We have Syl from Species. I don't want to hear about it. That's it. I'm only saying it, and that's it. Diva from Fifth Element. You guys should probably know what I'm talking about. Deadite Mia from Evil Dead 2013. Sorry, not sorry. Alira from Van Helsing. I shouldn't even have to say anything. Like, fucking come on. Elizabeth from Frankenhooker. I would. She's made up of different parts. And, hey, that's fine by me. Ginger from Ginger Snaps. Mid-transformation. Still would. When she goes completely furry. No. I have a limit. But when she still has, like, you know, some of the features growing and stuff. Would. Just saying. And then we also have the new Pinhead from Hellraiser 2022. There we go. Those are my hear me outs that I could think of. So obviously I don't discriminate. I don't care about alien species or anything. And aliens are real, people. Aliens are real. Maybe one day, but in my lifetime, if I get to screw an alien, let's go. I think it's an experience all of us need to do at least once. You know, for the people that got probed, I mean, maybe lucky them. I don't know. I mean, it depends on their preference. I would want some training before that, you know, to make sure I can handle it, toughen up, not cry. But yeah, I'd probably do it, you know, whatever. Yeah, no shame. Like I said, I'm not gonna be one to kink shame anybody. But yeah, that's like my hear me out. But back to the movie. So the end of the movie, what I was talking about, obviously Kirsty gets to jump on everybody. Julia dies by, I think she dies by the Cenobites, because she did get stabbed by Frank, kind of accidentally, but it's kind of like he didn't really care once he stabbed her when he was trying to stab Kirsty instead. But you do see her again in a bed, like completely face ripped with chains, and she has the box. So I think the Cenobites actually killed her, and that was it. And then you got Frank. They actually take him back, rip him apart in one of the coolest like body explosions ever. One of the coolest like one-liners of like the whole like Jesus like wept thing. And then they try to go for Kirsty, but then Kirsty gets rid of all the Cenobites by trapping them in a box, and her house, burns down. And then she tries to burn the puzzle box, and we see this homeless guy that was in the movie earlier that was acting really weird, but now I think he's just somebody who oversees the box to make sure it's always out and about, because he literally walks into the fire just burning ablaze, gets the box, holds onto it, and then transforms into a fucking bone dragon, and then just flies off with the box. And then we see the same shopkeeper or whatever, like street vendor from the very beginning, where it was giving us a bit of the backstory of the box, selling it to somebody else, asking them what are their pleasures that they're looking for. And it happens. It's going to happen all over again. So the box is constantly in rotation. People want to find pleasure in life, and that could be a bunch of ways, and that's what they're doing. Some people out there, a lot of people in the alternative or goth community, are really into those types of things, that I was naming earlier, masochism, sadism, knife play, bondage, all that type of stuff. A lot of people are into that. And hey, more power to you. That's your thing. And as long as people are safe, I don't really care. Even if you do it by yourself, like the most famous thing is like autoerotic asphyxiation. You can die doing that. Please be fucking careful. Or actually, probably don't do it at all. I think the chances of dying during that are really high. And if you don't know what that is, that's where like you tie a belt or something, and you just start going to town on yourself before you black out. And it's supposed to make it like super intense. But the thing is, when you black out, you're just hanging there, and then you kind of just die. And then they find you in such an awkward position, and then they got to talk about it after you passed away. Don't do that. Like, come on. Fuck, I wouldn't want to be found that way. I'm just hanging somewhere with like one of my shitty cheap ties that I bought probably from Walmart or Amazon. I got my freaking beans out. My toes would probably be out, which is even like weirder. It won't be a pretty sight for anybody. I'd be in a really bad position. I'd be hunched over, maybe. Like my posture wouldn't look good. My stomach would actually stick out a little more. It wouldn't look good, Just be careful. By all means, practice self-love all the way, whatever you want. Just do it safely. I don't know. But this movie is a very interesting movie to watch. I think it's worth the watch. Please check it out. By all means, let me know what you think. It's one of those icons, man. And if you've seen any of the other ones, let me know. I've only heard that they just get really bad. And so, I don't know. I think I tried watching the second one, and Marie and I didn't like it. Yeah, from what I remember. So, I don't really know if I'll take it further past that. Will I watch a new one if they come out? Yeah, totally. I mean, the 2022 one wasn't too bad. So I would like to see where they go with this Cenobite. Doesn't mean they couldn't do anything better. So by all means. But I think that's going to be the end of where the podcast is. I don't know what the next movie will be, but I am writing up a script, or at least plot points or something like that, for The Substance. So that will come eventually. I love that movie. Other movies I've seen in the meantime, I recently watched Anora. Great sex positive movie. It's very entertaining. It's very funny. Did not expect it to be funny. But did I have issues with that movie? I did. There was some stuff, I don't know, I would have expected more, but it was still really fun to watch. So by all means, check out Anora if you're into like sexy movies, or just movies where it's mainly focused on an incident that's happening right now. Not a whole lot of character depth or anything like that. It's just more like, boom, this situation's happening. Watch it as it happens. And if you go into it with that mindset, it's like, oh, okay, well, I mean, kind of got what I was looking for. But from a creative and writing standpoint, they could have went a bit further, and I expected more for them to talk about sex work and being sex positive. None of that's a bad thing. It's normal. It's a part of life. It's just how we are. We're a hardwired species to fuck. That is our purpose. That is literally it. Before I let you guys go, I got to give you your cookie's fortune. And here we go. A fresh start is not a new place. It's a new mindset. Do with that what you will, ladies and gentlemen. But until next time, be excellent, be kind, subscribe to the podcast.